meeting of the Red Oak City Council to order. Let it be known that we do have a quorum present. We have Councilman Franklin, Councilman Goodwin, Councilman Lightfoot, Councilman Smith present, and Councilman Drake is absent. Notice has been duly posted in accordance to Texas Government Code Section 551, and we are here to conduct business with and for the citizens of the city of Red Oak. Councilman Franklin, would you lead us in the pledges and the invitation?
Yes, sir. Thank you for the first meeting of the calendar year. We ask that as we transition into this meeting, we ask that this meeting be a solution. We ask that this meeting be of opening ears, opening hearts, and opening minds to do what's best for our city. God, we ask you to continue to look over our city and cover our city, cover all of our servicemen and women, cover our employees. Most importantly, God, please cover our citizens. Continue, God, to give counsel the wisdom, knowledge, and understanding that every decision that we make have you in mind. Father, we ask all but not least to bless everyone, Father, who went into the school year with any type of broken hearts or losing a loved one. Keep them in my prayer. This is my prayer. In the name of Christ. Amen.
Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag.
Tonight, we have quite a few little recognitions. And our first one is going to be presented by, so there's not a presentation. Okay. But did want to recognize the council, all those who were service awards or employee of the year nominees at employee holiday banquet in December. So the employee of the year, Bailey Gleaves, our HR general. She's been with us for a while. She does a lot front of and behind the scenes. Very lucky her. But that is always nominated by the directors and then voted on by the directors. So all of these employees have all been nominated by the directors, but Bailey. So the other nominations were from the police department, Ryan Gunning, R.J. Nelson, customer service, finance, Connor Newberry, property tech, CD, David Patrica, battalion chief, fire department, Annie Flamer, parks supervisor, Parks and Rec. We also had service awards, those with 5 years of service, Antonio Avena, police, Ryan Gunning, police, Ben Hartman, community development director, city engineer, Lisa Jacobs, admin and public works, Jeffrey Links, Aaron Lockhart, TV, Gloria Platt, finance, Carlos Jones, fire, Matthew Sands, police, Christopher Flatt, police, Scott Williams, public works. Those with 10 years of service were Kevin Hughes in police, Lee McCleary, Thomas Butler, Karen Stevens, Chief Wolf. Those with 15 years of service, John Benford in IT, Lost Warren and towards the citizen. Thank you all. Council, when we speak loud because I think some of our mics are on and some are not. So, you
Sure.
can't hear us, please wave your hand or try to project. Push your button.
But if we blow you out too, let us know that too. All right, Chief Blanton, are you doing one? Okay, great.
We just wanted to recognize several of our members. It's up here. Several of our members with some awards. These awards were voted on by their peers. And wanted to recognize these individuals. When I call your name, if you want to come up here, and we'll line up here to get a picture. Firefighter Carlos Quinones, he received multiple nominations, and they all spoke on his leadership and attributes and his ability to assist with any projects ongoing within the department. Carlos continuously strives to push himself and dedicates time to training and fine-tuning his craft. His peers see him as an asset with the Red Oak Fire Rescue, and they took the time to acknowledge his continued outstanding efforts. And Carlos was nominated for Firefighter of the Year. No, he's there. The next individual, he wasn't able to be here tonight. He's got a sick kid, but it's Randy Clark for EMS Provider of the Year. Firefighter Clark was nominated by his peers. This recognition is his work as a paramedic. The consistent message in all of the nominations spoke to his ability to perform at a high level, regardless of the situation. Randy's peers spoke on his ability not only to direct the required patient care for patients, but also the ability to comfort both the patient and the families through their difficult times that they were going through. So in honor of Randy being here tonight, Randy Clark was EMS Provider of the Year. Tanner Slotman. There he is. Engineer Slotman was nominated for his recognition based on his calm demeanor during any situation. Nominations spoke of his ability to assist in teaching new drivers every aspect of the job, managing incidents that require multiple operations at once from driver engineer position, and assisting in extra projects around the station and throughout the organization. For Driver Engineer of the Year, Tanner Slotman. Chief David Patrica. Battalion Chief Patrica received an overwhelming number of nominations that spoke on his wide range of responsibilities he maintains involvement in within the department. The nominations spoke of his ability to balance pushing his personnel to achieve their highest level of responsibility and response capabilities while balancing the need to diversify their knowledge based on their operational responsibilities. His willingness to assist in any project that is ongoing to help drive the success of the department as a whole, and his example of striving for personal growth. Officer of the Year, Chief David Patrica. Sutton, make it. Yeah, there he is, Sutton. I'm sorry, I didn't see him. Sutton Jones, Engineer Jones received multiple nominations that consistently described his ability to work diligently to support the growth of and development of the department. Examples range from involvement in assisting with uniforms to the honor guard, as well as regularly pushing for everyone in the department to be involved with and identifying the needs and pushing to reach solutions that push our department forward. Sutton Jones received the Pride and Commitment Award for 2023. Jody Kirby, I think the reason he gets this is because he's still single. He's only got 2 years in the fire service. This is the second year for Jody to win this award. Firefighter Kirby received the highest overall rating from our annual physical assessment. This annual assessment pushes employees to their limits with their physical capabilities and measures the ability to perform in any situation. Jody demonstrated his elite physical ability by pushing to the top in every metric within the assessment. Jody Kirby receives the Beast Award for 2023. Andrew Rieger. He's over there somewhere. Oh, no, there he is. Firefighter Rieger has taken on the opportunity to be involved with the progression of Red Oak Fire Rescue this year. Andrew has taken on multiple roles above and beyond that of the firefighter to learn more about the department and assist in the progress of the organization. Specifically, he has taken on the role of assisting with EMS operations, training, and policy development through this ever-changing year we've gone through with EMS operations within Ellis County. Andrew Rieger is receiving the Chiefs Award for 2023.
Hey, them a move.
Thank you.
Congratulations, everyone. As you can tell, we are quite proud of our police and fire department, and these young men and women just help keep our citizens safe and go above and beyond. And so we thank them and their families for their sacrifice. Now's the time for citizens' comments. Now's the time for citizens' comments. Citizens' comments are where anybody can get up and speak about anything. If an item's not on the agenda, we can't speak to it. Several of you have signed up for item 7, which is not a public hearing. I will call your name for the citizens' comments, and you can bring your questions or your statements during that part, but not during item 7, because that is not a public hearing. Okay. Everybody good? Okay. So I'll go in the order that they were turned in. Ken Lundberg, I apologize. Come on up. Just remember your time limit is 3 minutes. There's a timer that'll go off, and glad to have you.
Okay.
Yeah, name and address, please.
Okay, my name is Ken Lundberg. Good evening, everyone. Council members, thank you all for having me. I am here today, first off, to introduce myself. I'm running for judge of the 443rd District Court here in Ellis County.
Yeah, go ahead and your name and address.
My address, I'm currently serving as an associate district judge down at the courthouse, so my address is confidential, so I cannot necessarily disclose that, but I do thank you.
Can you say the city?
Yes, I reside in Midlothian,
Okay,
Texas.
that's close enough.
Okay.
I just didn't want you to say Washington DC or something like that.
Yes,
So,
absolutely, absolutely. So I was raised here in Ellis County. I'm currently serving as an associate judge down at the courthouse. And I wanted to come here, first off, just to introduce myself. I'm going to be on the ballot in the upcoming March 5th primary. Second off, I wanted to address item 7 that you guys had on the agenda today. In regards to the political signs and the advertising, we're currently in a presidential election year, so there's going to be a lot of people coming to the polls. And I think everyone knows that we want to have an informed electorate. And as far as the advertising and the signs go, I think that they are a great conversation starter and jumping off point, particularly when it comes to races like mine, where you're down ballot. Because people might be going and voting for president, but they may not know, oh, there's a district judge race going on, or their city council is having an election, or their county commissioner is up for re-election this time around. And I think it offers people the opportunity to educate themselves before getting to the ballot box so that they can ask their friends, ask their family, ask their coworkers, do you know who this guy is, or who you going for in this race? That's my 2 cents as far as that goes. And I just ask that you guys keep that into consideration when making your decision tonight. My name's Ken Lundberg, and I am a candidate on the ballot this March 5th primary for the 443rd District Court. Thank you all for your time.
Thank you, Ken. Thank you, sir. Anna Onion? I apologize.
Yes, I'm Jana Onion, the elections administrator here in Ellis County, at 204 East Jefferson. I'm gonna jump into this because I only have 3 minutes, but I asked the city secretary for the memo about number 7. And so I just had a few more questions about it. It states in here that subsection B, 2, and C, and then on the second page, it says also section 1 is going to be updated and amended here tonight. And so my questions, I appreciate the board and the council and the mayor having this on the agenda. I see the map that has been presented and it shows the location of having signs placed up according to your current election regulations. But my question here today also has to do with section B1, where it talks about the voting period. It says the period each day beginning on the hour the polls are open for voting and ending when the polls close. And when you go into section 2A, it says is an offense for any person to leave any electioneering sign, literature on public property that is used as the polling place other than during the voting period for 1 hour before and 1 hour after the voting period. So my question to the board here today, as you're making some changes to this ordinance, I'm questioning what is going to be changed about that. You guys are allowing signs to be posted at this designated area, but when can they post it? Will it be normal? It's like usually a few days prior to an election, and it goes all the way to like a few days after the election for people to pick up their signs. So I'm just kind of referencing that to see if we're still hesitant on requiring candidates to be showing up at the polls every morning and every evening so that they don't get the new $500 fine that I'm seeing that's being placed on that ordinance.
The intent, and I can't speak, the city attorney's in the back on the phone, but the intent of the ordinance is to allow the campaign signs within that green area in front of the building during the period of the election. So,
Okay.
prior to early voting or during early voting. And then a couple of days or so after the election. So you're
Okay.
not gonna have to go pull them up every day and put them back the next day. So that's
Perfect.
the intent, is during that election cycle, you can have the signs out there in
Perfect.
that front area.
Will that be adjusted on your actual ordinance?
If
So
it
that,
needs to, I don't have that in my packet, so I'll have to get with the city attorney and make sure that it
Please.
needs to be.
because if you're adding the $500 penalty, I feel like it needs to be, so everybody knows what are the regulations, right? What is set forth? What do your expectations? What can we, or candidates can expect to be able to do at your site?
Okay.
So that is something that, but,
So it's not just election day, it's.
No,
that-
that's during early voting.
Early voting and everything.
and election day, the entire period. Your expectation sounds great,
Right.
where they can
And-
put
and
it
that's
at
what
the
it
beginning and
is.
put it at the
Yeah.
end. But I don't want this to come down as someone getting charged $500 for,
Yeah, that's
you
not
know,
the intent. And
okay.
if it does need to change, I'm assuming council is good on that condition.
Yeah,
okay.
that's just to be clear with it and have a specific period, so.
That sounds great.
Thanks.
And then also on number B, sorry, there's one other one. Number B, it just talks about a person engaging in electioneering on driveways, parking areas, medians within the parking areas, driveways on the premises of a polling location. Yeah, as you guys know, 100-foot radius is what my election judge can regulate. And then anything outside of that is what the owners of the polling site can regulate. So my question to this is, again, if the offense is someone walking to a car outside of the 100-foot marker safely, right? No one's going to get ran over or anything like that. Does this penalty of $500 because they're going against your ordinance also take effect?
Electioneering outside of the 100
Foot
feet.
marker can
Well,
happen,
safe.
right? Can
So,
happen.
Yeah,
And, but your ordinance on number B, 2B, it says it's an offense for any person to engage in electioneering on driveways, parking areas, or medians within the parking areas or driveways on the premises of the polling location. So this restriction shall not apply to the electioneering signs that are attached to vehicles, but I just want to make sure that people can still move around and about outside that 100-foot within,
Sure.
no one wants to get run over, but,
Sure.
reasonable,
Don't
reasonable.
block the driveway coming in and don't stop traffic trying to
Okay.
get off the road into the property. I didn't know there was an issue because nobody brought it up. That's not a new thing. That's the way it was prior. So all we did was change the one green area because that's what we were asked to do. If there's other things in there, we didn't change them because nobody asked and requested for them to be changed.
Once I started seeing the $500 penalty, I was like, well, how strict is
Right.
your code gonna be and stuff? So I just would like to ask you guys to kind of look at that again.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Appreciate that.
Ms. Story.
Good evening, council and mayor. My name is Penny Story. I live at 106 South Summit here in Red Oak. And I want to make a couple of comments for the benefit of this audience and those viewing online regarding some issues we've had using Red Oak Municipal Center as a countywide voting place. And I also want to make some comments on my personal problems here. And just for clarification, the election codes are established by the Texas Secretary of State. But the local codes and ordinances are established for the election, are established by Jana Onion here, who is our election administrator, and it reads like this. On election days, the election judge at each polling site is in charge of the responsible for the management and conduct of the election at the polling place. So the election judge, if there's a difficulty, that's who would be spoken to. So I want to make some personal comments about difficulties we've had here. In a past election, the Red Oak City Police were stationed at the Red Oak Municipal Center at 7 a.m. And when the candidates arrived to legally put their campaign signs outside of the 100-foot electioneering marker, the Red Oak Police informed the candidates that they could not put their signs there. So they could only put their signs and hand out literature on a very large field to the left of the boulevard, an area completely distant from the voters. I personally requested that I speak with the police chief. He was out of town. I spoke with the next in charge, and that person quoted me all of the guidelines for electioneering within the building. That's totally different than outside the 100-foot marker. So I asked, call Jana. And one other candidate experienced this at the same time, called Jana and said, could you please explain to the police department that what they're reading is inside the building, not outside the 100-year floodplain, the 100-foot marker. So anyway, so we had that difficulty, that was kind of a harassment from the city police. Remember, they're not in charge. The election judge is in charge. So if there's a problem, that's who handles it. Waxahachie tried assigning a spot. Looks like we're doing that again. They were sued. They lost and they paid a fine. So in another election, the city of Red Oak instituted regulations that there would be only one sign per campaign in the small landscape medium, half of which is outside of the 100-foot marker. Also, a sign height limit was put on to stop stacking signs. That's fine. In that election, there was a campaign of the Vote Yes Bond group. They put a canopy tent in the street at the end of the esplanade, and they put signs on that, and those signs blocked all the other signs that were on that little esplanade. Our mayor absolutely was there. He supports that campaign, and he stood under that canopy blocking the traffic right there. Eventually,
Thank you,
someone,
Ms. Story.
you're welcome.
You're out of your 3 minutes now, so thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So our next person who will speak is Daniel Sutherland. Yeah.
Can I yield the remainder of my time to the source?
No, I'm sorry.
Why not?
It's not the way it works.
It's only fair. It's only fair. Somebody else gets in their time.
Yeah, so we're allotting 3 minutes. If you want to hand her your speech, she can sure read off of it. That's fine. Do you want her to do that?
Would you like to do? Sounds good.
Okay.
My name is Daniel Sutherland, representing the Young GOP of Ellis County. My address is 143 Mulkey Road, Waxahachie, Texas. Thank you for letting me speak today. I just wanted to encourage the aspect of free and fair elections, being able to view signs, especially with the modern technology of QR codes that can link to websites. It's an easy way to give access to the voters on what the candidates actually stand for, and to be able to inform the voters on the particular elections, especially down ballot. This is very important to our constitutional republic, and I would encourage that signs to be placed in and around, but outside of the 100-foot marker at polling locations. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Lindy Beatty, I apologize.
Good evening, council. My name is Lindy Beatty. My address is 112 Diamond Lane in Waxahachie, Texas. I want to introduce myself to the council. I am a Republican candidate for Ellis County and District Attorney. I have over 20 years of criminal trial experience, over 18 years of criminal trial prosecution experience. I currently own my own law firm in Waxahachie for the last 4 years, where I've done criminal defense. So I've had an opportunity to do both sides of the criminal docket. I'm running for Ellis County and District Attorney because I believe that we deserve more efficient prosecution of cases in a way that does not waste taxpayer money, which is what I believe is happening currently. In regards to agenda item number 7, I too want to piggyback what the others have been saying. I think it's important that every candidate have a fair and equal opportunity to have their signs placed throughout the city, particularly at polling locations. It's vitally important that people who are going to vote do so in an educated manner. And the signs help, as Mr. Sutherland just said, you know, sometimes there's QR codes attached to different campaign signs so people can find more about the candidates and learn more about them, because we do want people to be educated when they go to vote, as opposed to randomly just picking a person that they see on the list. So I think it's vitally important that we make sure that there's every opportunity, again, equal and fair opportunity under the law, under the Texas Election Code, to make sure that electioneering happens. That is an important part of our republic in this state and of this country. And so I think it would be a shame to in any way prohibit that, to lessen that, or make any person not have an equal opportunity to be able to display their signs, to be able to do their electioneering, again, in a way that makes the voting public more educated on their votes. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
What's your name?
Beatty.
Was that Beatty? Is that how you pronounce your last name, Lindy?
Beatty.
Beatty, sorry, thank you.
Lone Deemer?
By any other name, as long as I'm not late for supper, I'm okay. I wanted to ask, one,
Your
where
address,
is,
please.
oh,
I'm sorry.
excuse me, 305 North Main Street, Red Oak, Texas. I was wondering, where is the map and how can I get one of where you wanted to restrict signs?
So we can answer that. And do you have anything else you want to speak? And we'll come back and we'll
Yeah,
talk about,
uh-huh.
because it's going to be item 7. So we'll have all that map and we'll be able to show you. And then
And can we have a copy to
and it'll
go?
be exactly
Sorry,
onto the website. Once it's approved, because we don't know if it's approved yet or not, but once it becomes, then it'll be in the website, or it'll be posted, or it'll be whatever we need to do. So I don't mean to be eating up your time, so I'll give you
It's all
extra
right. So,
minutes.
curbs, you know, you've got a house, you got a sidewalk, you got a curb. Is the curb public property? It is? Or is it private property?
It's a public improvement on private property through dedication of right of way.
And so can we put signs there?
No.
No. But the island, right, between when you're coming where we used to go vote, do we still go there or do we come here?
No, the discussion's gonna be that it's over there by the lake.
Okay. So what is the public property that is going to be banned from signs, free public signs for a free public election, for a free public country?
The current ordinance is that the public right of way is free of all signage, including political signs, commercial signs, or any form of banned signs. There's
And-
an exception to the law that says that a polling place signs are permitted. There's a further exception that defines what the polling place is. So each city or each municipality that has polling places is entitled to designate those areas of wherever that building is located as the polling place. Signs are permitted in the polling place, not in the public right of way.
So why are you changing it now? What are you cleaning up?
The question was, why are we changing it now?
Or
Right
want to?
now, the only place that signs are allowed are in the parking lot. Signs may be affixed to a motor vehicle, but signs may not be placed in the landscape island of the parking lot for the reason is that there's public improvements in there in terms of irrigation and electrical lines that get damaged as a result of the putting of those signs in those plant areas. The city council, at the request of the election official for the county of Ellis, has asked us to expand that, which the council is undertaking to expand the area, which allows signs tonight in the polling place area by redesignating the polling place to include the northwest portion of the grassy area in front of the former town center.
So in summary, we're looking to expand the area that signs can be in.
And
That's
so-
what we're trying to do tonight.
Tell me what you're adapting at the church over by my house.
We're
We
not-
don't
We're
have
not making any
control over
changes to
that.
We don't have any control over that because it's not
don't?
public domain.
No
not-
boundaries, no.
No,
We don't
not
have
public
control over
domain.
that.
As long as it's not in the public right of way, it's not in the public domain, subject to us to regulate.
So I hope we'll answer a lot of your questions that you brought up,
Uh-huh.
but we'll do that under item 7. Okay?
Okay, thank you.
You bet. Thank you. And yes, right now, if we, this is what I'll say is if we don't adopt this, what we're gonna talk about in item 7, you won't be able to put those signs there. So we're trying to get some space, some space back. Okay,
To allow signs.
to allow signs. All right, Scott Goodwin. Name and address, please.
Scott Goodwin, 140 Brookbend Drive, Waxahachie. I'm also here representing, it's called the Integrity Project. And we have our eye on this particular item because we're concerned about how it may affect the ability of candidates to reach some of the more marginalized people in the community. There are people that don't have ready access to social media, normal media or whatever. They depend on the signs. They've mentioned that the signs use QR codes, but there are a lot of people that use the signs as a primary starter for finding out about the different individuals and stuff. So for the constitutional view of our republic and everything else, the freedom of speech and so forth, we're watching how this plays out because we don't the explanation about irrigation and so forth, that all, sounds good, makes sense and everything else. It appears that this added space that you're trying to make to give people more signs doesn't seem to be really in the flow of how these marginalized people might approach the polling place. So we're just really concerned about the way it's continuing to restrict down the freedom of speech, the freedom of access of information and so forth in our community. And so we encourage you to really, take a lot of care. It sounds like from some of the earlier comments about the ordinances, as it was brought up, that y'all might want to go back and, some, I think, Mr. Fuller didn't, he said nobody had really asked for that. I think it's incumbent on you as the council to say, let's take a real look from a clean sheet of paper about what we're doing and how we're doing it and really improve it. Find a solution that helps everybody and make sure that everybody has a great election. So thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Samantha Buford.
Hello, address 2431 Far Road in Palmer, Texas. I am here to talk about item number 7. My husband is on the ballot for primary for U.S. Congress CD6. And we want to get back to where we were founded as a state, as a country, for the United States of America, what our forefathers died for. And not being able to have free speech, not being able for these candidates to place their signs, to allow people to see, to learn, to understand, to educate themselves. That's taken away freedom of speech. And that is part of our, of what we were founded on. And it's our First Amendment right. And we need to get back to that. And I just ask that you really, really research and look, go back to it. Just like the Word of God says, we need to go back to our first love, our first beginnings. And that's what we need to do, because as a state and a world, we've lost that. And when, just personally, when each one of you campaigned for your position, were you not allowed to place your signs? To show people who you were, to get on the ballot, that you were on the ballot. Hey, learn about me. Here's information. That's all we're asking. So I just ask that you really take time and consider. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
What if you're indigenous?
Mr. Randy Bellamy.
Good evening, council and mayor. Thank you for allowing me to speak. My name is Randy Bellamy. I live at 409 Shadowwood Trail in Oak Villa. I'm also the county chairman of the Republican Party. This is a very large concern of our party because it does deal with free speech. It does deal with putting roadblocks. And so I understand y'all are trying to help correct that tonight, and I appreciate you looking into it and expanding it. This county, I've lived here only 31 years. Some of y'all probably lived here longer than that, probably all your life. So you know that in this county, the way most people are informed is by signs. In the past, many years ago, if you had the most signs, you usually won because you got the information out to people, that visibility. Media is very, very expensive. Y'all know that. Signs are one of the cheaper ways to get the word out. So we've got to be able to have that ability to put these signs out. I know y'all don't deal with private property. That's the owner. He gets to do what he wants. As far as that's concerned, as long as it's within reason and stuff. But when it comes to the public areas, this is where our country has always been able to go, and preachers, whatever, candidates, whatever, would stand on soapboxes, and that's where the term came from. They get up and they would preach. Well, the candidate's preaching too out there, trying to sell his product, which is himself. We need to give them every opportunity to be able to do that with signs, with other. Now, I'm all for order. We've got to have order, there's no doubt. But I also am for freedom. I would love to see this expanded even further to where there's more freedom and the capability for electioneering. Thank you all. Y'all have a good.
Thank you.
So, Ms. Story, how many minutes do you have left?
How much more?
Two? Okay, I'll give those to you. Please stand up. Okay. We'll get you the form to fill out, but come on up, Ms. Story. I'm gonna allow that just because I don't want to be an over.
Do you need a
This is
motion,
an
Mr.
item on
Mayor?
the agenda, so there can be some back and forth. So I agree some extra
Yeah.
time's warranted.
Do you need a motion, Mr. Mayor?
Will that help?
Thank you very
That'll help.
much.
Okay.
Again,
need a
my
motion, Mr.
address is
Mayor?
106 South
Do you
Summit.
need a motion
No, not yet.
for the record? Let us speak.
Yeah, I don't think so, since it's still open,
Still citizens.
citizens comment.
Okay.
Okay. I would like to, the ordinance, I would like to address this ordinance that says that a display of campaign signs on public property, let's identify public property. Public property, according to this, is every piece of property this city owns. If you look at the Ellis County CAD, you own 50+ pieces of property. Most of it is very open. It's very much on visible corners. That means no candidate can put a sign there. So says that an entity that owns or controls a public building being used as a polling place may not prohibit electioneering outside of the 100-foot distance marker. However, the entity may enact reasonable regulations. Then it says the authority, the only place that can be decided as to what is reasonable is a court of law. So to restrict candidates from putting out their sign is restricting their freedom of speech. It's a violation of the election code, and it is voter information suppression. I think Ellis County deserves better than that. These voters need to have freedom of speech. These voters need to see freedom of speech. They need to see the candidates. They need to have the information because many of them vote strictly off the signs. So when you restrict all of the property that this city owns from receiving or having a candidate sign, we just violated the election code. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Would you feel best just sitting there and just speaking loud?
So I want to remind council, probably not correct me on this, but I believe 2014 this ordinance went into effect. It went into effect because there was a certain person running for city council that most of the people didn't want him running for city council. Ever since 2014 that he ran for city council, this ordinance has not been used at all. Every one of you guys up there on that podium have put your signs out there down the boulevard, at the very entrance of this street, all through this area. Every one of you put your signs out there. This ordinance has not been used since that point in 2014 until this last year during the school holiday. So I want y'all to keep that in mind, that y'all used it to suppress voters in 2014 and the recent election we had. Suggestion I would have for you guys is, I understand y'all's point on the electrical and the water lines going down the boulevard. The yard signs with those thin wires are not going to affect those wires or those water lines. It's the T-posts that are going to affect them. So I would suggest y'all make an ordinance that you can't put larger signs in the median with T-posts. You can only use yard signs with small wires. That's all I got to say.
Thank you. And because I extended it, was there anybody else that wants to speak that didn't have that opportunity to sign up? Am I good? Thank you very much. All right. So now we'll continue with our meeting. We're going to consent agenda. Consent agenda are items that are considered routine in nature and can be acted upon by one motion. Any of the council members, city administrative staff, or myself can withdraw an item for specific consideration. Some of these items might be like when our meeting typically falls on a national holiday, then we want to move it to the next day. So those are the type of items that are on consent agendas. Some are recurring items that we've been briefed on before, talked about before, contracts for developing water tanks for the city and stuff like that. Council, is there any item that needs to be withdrawn from the consent agenda?
No items.
All right, I'll entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented. That's items 1 through 6.
So moved.
Councilman Lightfoot.
Second.
That Councilman Franklin. Those in favor?
Franklin, I.
Goodwin, aye. Lightfoot, aye.
Smith, aye.
That passes 5-0.
Four.
Oh, I'm sorry. 4-0. I don't get to vote.
Unless it's a tie.
I apologize. Thank you. Item 7, consider approval of ordinance number 24-002 of the city of Red Oak, Texas, amending chapter 3 building regulations, article 3.04 signs by amending section 3.044.002 temporary election signs, subsection B to C, by adding a map of a location for signs in landscape islands and structures as figure 3.04.002, providing a repealing clause, providing a severability clause, providing a penalty of fine not to exceed the sum of $500 for each offense, and providing an effective date. So let me see if I can answer some of those. Whoop. Okay. We're gonna take just a few minutes. If we weren't to address this item, it would be more restrictive than the way it's written right now. Okay, so right now, we don't allow any signs to be put in.
Signs are not of any kind are allowed in right of ways.
So that means for sale signs, that means garage sale signs, that means whatever other type of signs. Those are prohibited in public right of ways. Okay. This specifically stemmed from an election that happened a couple years ago where it made our city look trashy. We got way out of hand. It, both yes and no's, putting signs and stacking signs over and top of everybody, trampling some plants that were just planted out there, T-posts that were set, water lines that were broke. And this was 2 years ago, if I'm remembering correct. Help me.
Thanks.
And so the problem with trying to think of things that protects what.
I can also, we got complaints about bad enforcement, the rule was unclear.
Yeah.
There were lots of different things that went into that.
And so
That made it unfair for a lot.
it may have swung the pendulum way to the far side, and we're trying to straighten some of that out. This unfortunately is not a public hearing, but it's what council needs to discuss. And citizens, you brought up excellent points, and And I want everybody, because it's not been decided, and if we have to do it again before we pass this, we're gonna do it again to try to get it right. So this area, everybody can see that, right? That green up there? That's what we came up with an idea, and it's certain 8 feet from the edge of the curb and 11 feet from that cross street going south. To put the various signs, and there wasn't, I don't believe there's a restriction on the number or the size of signs in that area, correct?
Correct.
That's right.
So you want us to blow it up? Can we blow it up?
That's the front of the building.
Right at the top.
Okay, so everybody knows where we're talking about? Okay. It would be better if we could block that road off and everybody had to come by those signs. It'd be better if we had this designated sign area to rotated 90 degrees coming down the road, because it'd make everybody happy, more happy, I think. But this is what we kind of came up with. The city was using this building for city government, and there's so many signs that put up to tell if this is true to city hall or not. It's big city, this is an office, city office. So, council, ideas.
In the additional areas that we got, I would want this. Right. Cities that are ordinances are very big, located. Signs, fleets, definitely opposed to all of this stuff. They didn't want to do something like that. But one, hard to enforce, two, easy to get wrong. But so this seemed like a good first step for me. I mean, I'm open to other options. Sorry if I wasn't being picked up there. I'm open to other options to add more places, but I still approve and accept and want to see us open this area for signage. I think that we need to do that.
That property on the right over here, is that private property?
I think he just looked.
Part of it is and part of it is city property. So right against the curb to the parking lot,
Yeah.
there's a small area there that's city. And then beyond that is private property.
We have as much property on the right as we do on the left, a designated election area.
I'm not sure if it's exactly the same, but it would be similar.
Similar. We could have on both sides there, if council agreed.
How big it was? It sounded like you said it's just a little strip by the curb.
It would be similar to what you have on the left side.
He just looked, it's pretty much.
Yeah, there's enough space there outside of the right of way and the property lines that you could mirror the depth of that sign area on the opposite side of the road.
And there's no utilities or worried there? I mean,
There are utilities, but they're not in that area.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, again, as long as we're designating what the area is, I think that solves the problem of it being out of hand. As long as everyone knows what area it is and it's part of the. Easily talk about that strip, but I definitely want to add. We're not changing the 100-foot rule. Yeah. Signs on your car. Yeah, all that stuff in the parking lot, longer past that. that would.
You mentioned the right of way median, is that the one that goes from the building all the way up to? Yeah. The railroad?
Yeah, from that, but what is being there. Where it's based on the area.
Can't put it basically like between the sidewalk and the curb of the street.
Up here?
No,
No.
I'm trying to show what is private.
Like just north of the.
Oh, okay.
The houses, a couple of houses.
From here to here
But
and
yeah,
then back down to there.
Seems to be in the right of way.
We'll have Jonathan.
Yeah, there we go. That's good. There's probably a little bit more.
Whatever
that 22,
whatever that same measurement
is. Right.
Yeah,
Whatever
22.
we own.
It's 22 by,
11 feet is- It has to be 11 feet back.
Okay.
We'll find the same form.
Yes,
So it'll be approximately 22 feet from the curb of the parking lot during that, within that area. He's
22 feet north, correct?
Yeah, there we go.
No, just at that cutoff.
They wanted to match the other side in the number of, since it's in front of all the parking spots. Candidates have traditionally parked cars there and put signs on their cars and left them there and done their other electioneering from those spots, as long as they're outside the 100-foot radius from the front door. So we'll make what says designated election sign area the same on that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 spots plus the crosswalk area.
So Bob, I think the other thing while you were out on the phone, the two other issues that came up, I think council appeared to be in agreement with.
There's
if we're
there's
doing-
nothing, I don't think we need to change anything else because this ordinance is just about signs, not about electioneering.
Well, hold on, there was one.
It says
about
an
time.
electioneering
Yeah,
sign.
Yeah, there was one about the phrasing of when the signs could be out there. And it could have been interpreted to be like every day before polls open, you can put signs out a little bit, and then after polls close that day, you have to pick them up again and walk away with them.
Because those rules only exist when it's a polling place. It's only a polling place at 7 AM to 7 PM. After that, it's no longer a polling place.
Okay.
So what we've done and what I've suggested in my cities is just leave them out for those 2 weeks before the election during early voting and during the early voting and voting day for the runoff.
Yeah, that's,
And
and that's
leave
how
them
it's
alone.
been, yeah, that's how it's been
That's how it's been treated.
treated. The question was, should we change the language to codify that somehow? It makes sense. I mean, I understand.
So,
the
Ms.
question-
Onion-
Yeah, because there's fines attached to it. So the question was, if there's fines attached to it, should we clean up that language if we're already changing with the language?
So Ms. Onion's statement was, do the candidates have to pull it at the end of the closing of the election day and then put them back out that next morning? Or can they,
That's what the state law says. I didn't make it up.
so,
It says, well, it's only a polling place. Polling place is defined as a
You're
place
talking
where you
about
can.
for our ordinance, our piece of the ordinance, though, right?
I understand, but I want to
Okay.
make it track the state law so that we
yeah,
don't
okay,
have
that
two
makes
sets of rules. So technically, a polling place is only a polling place when it's open to receive voters. It's not a polling place.
That makes sense.
That's what the state law says.
That's not
So
very
I made
practical,
our ordinance tracks that ordinance. So in some places, most cities just let you leave them up for those 2 weeks and don't enforce it.
so is there a way
Instead
we
of
can,
trying to wordsmith this and
Because the city officers are closed.
Can we remove the fine for that section? In other words, it's a state rule, but can we say for that state rule, we're not going to have a $500 fine?
then what if they don't comply?
Well, they're not gonna apply. We don't want them to
We're
comply.
telling them not to.
We're telling them to-
Because we can't change.
to
the
leave
state
them up there.
language.
We can make it more restrictive.
No. I think you're complicating the world.
Okay.
The polling place
Here's my concern. I'm up here trying to change this tonight and I'm gonna do something that creates another loophole or another problem, and I'm not in favor of doing that. I'll just be
that's-
honest.
that's-
with
where you're voting at 100 feet on either side of it, is that not right?
Yes.
You can't put a
During-
sign in there.
That's right.
Right.
But that's only, the polling place is the.
you.
entire
And that's the
property.
election judge has to enforce that.
Entire property, you can't put a sign on the property, polling front, but any outside of that 100 feet, you could put signs based on
In that green area.
in the green areas.
But what Bob is saying is that it's still a polling place during the day when people are going in and out and voting.
Yeah.
But when 8 o'clock at night is there, nobody's voting unless it's actual voting day, maybe, I don't know what that.
7 to 7.
But
Election stuff on the property, so it's a polling place, not an election out on the property.
But the city's
not
open at
8 o'clock
It's not open. It's when the polls are open is the intent of the state, the ordinance, and the intent of the statute. I don't care. We can change it any way you want. That's a policy issue. But I just hate to start scratching stuff off here in the middle of a meeting and then miss something.
Yeah, I mean, let's just leave it then.
Let me
Let's
do
look
my
at the
job. I'll let you
language.
do your.
We'll look at the language and see if we can clean it up. I mean, if it's an enforcement issue, I think
So,
it's an enforcement issue, but.
so we'll,
It's the, what would be good is if council expresses the intent
Right.
that we're not going to enforce, that they take signs down and put them back up
Daily.
the next day on a daily basis.
Right, during the election period.
It's.
so.
I can just,
there what they have so many days after the election to pull the sign.
if you change voting period to be the early voting, an election day is defined by the state election code. Would that make y'all happy? Would that make everybody happy?
I
Well,
mean,
yeah, to
as
make
long as it doesn't
everybody quote
reference the
happy, you
1 hour
want
before.
signs anywhere and everywhere, and that's probably not gonna happen
But for that-
tonight.
But for the
that-
1 hour
yeah.
before, 1 hour after, that was the concern that Mr.
Well,
Lee brought up.
if I just redefine voting period to
Oh, okay.
mean during the early voting period and election day as defined including runoff as defined by the state election code, then it tracks exactly whatever the state election code says is the polling
Okay.
place.
I don't think I can argue with that at all.
Sorry, that sounds good, but also A has one part in there that needs to be removed if that's the case. And for 1 hour before and after the voting period. If we're gonna kind of just state that the early voting starts and ends, that one portion would also need to be, and then I think that would allow candidates not to feel like they're gonna get.
Well,
back
voting
to
period would be defined, it would be defined
Change the
after
voting
the
period.
election.
Well, hold on, but if he changes the
It says-
definition of voting period, that
The
covers. that
voting
then,
period
right?
is the 2 weeks of early voting.
Depending on what election you're doing. So county elections are 2 weeks, city council elections are a week and a half. So what if we just stated that they can go out 48?
See,
hours
here
in
we
advance
are.
of early voting,
Yeah.
48 hours
Uh,
after election day.
I would recommend we bring this back the next meeting and let
Yeah,
me make.
if we have
take-
time to bring it back and still be clear with it, I would
It-
give
it-
Bob
it-
time to.
It's only gonna apply when early voting goes into effect anyhow.
Which is
It starts it.
March.
Early voting starts.
Yeah.
it.
I know, but if
2
we
weeks
do it
before
at the
that.
February meeting,
Yeah,
there's
we have
plenty of time.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'd rather give Bob time to get it right in the language, because
Okay.
we know the intent,
The-
so. Yeah, okay,
And I
I
don't
mean,
want,
yeah.
and I don't wanna have a debate with
Right.
citizens.
yeah,
I
no,
think, I think what's going on, guys, though, is they are trying to determine whether they are going to use that property as a polling place. And with all the restrictions, they are thinking, well, maybe we don't want to use that as a polling location if it's gonna have all these restrictions. But it is a good location. We want to be there if we can get it set up so that we're not worried about all these little items. So that's,
county intent why they came up with this.
right, that's,
Yeah,
yeah.
because it's Commissioner,
Right.
so this site has always been Commissioner Ford's, main polling location for years. It's been your main polling location for years, but with these restrictions, we have gotten some candidates talking to us, and so we do have the possibility of not being able
Right.
to use it if we don't get this cleared up. And, getting it cleared up, I have a primary election, and I have to program the ballots with the polling sites listed, and so I'm at a deadline.
is our intention good enough for us to get the language right? I mean, our attorney's saying he doesn't want to try to create language for an ordinance right now. I mean, our intention is to, exactly as we talked about.
I mean,
I know
It's
what would be
in there.
best. I know,
Yeah, best would be putting in there, intentions of having it for the full duration of beginning to ending. of
Sure.
Early voting to election day.
no, I think that's what Bob said.
yeah, because he was gonna define the election period as that.
So
Just
A
do
would
that one
only mean
portion.
is you don't have to. And I can include the weekends. I mean, 2 weeks is 2 weeks. I know what 2 weeks is, 14 days prior to the election day, and then
But again,
include
it
the
it
runoff.
differs between early voting, between your elections, between runoffs, primary runoff. is
I
on
know, but
5
that's all
days.
state law, right?
They all change. It's not just 14 days prior, no. It's different every election. So like primary runoffs is 7 days prior to the election. It's 5 days worth of early voting. So if you state the word of just prior to early voting starting to the ending of election day, that'll catch every type of election.
All right.
Why don't we just vote on that, get this over with, get them down the road?
Well, cause if I don't do what you say you're gonna do, then you're gonna fire me. So I'm not gonna,
Too much fun, we're not gonna get to you.
I just don't want to get it wrong and I want to try to do what they want, but I just can't, you don't want to free for all. And I don't want to create and make a mistake, which I have done in trying to do something during the meeting. That's all I'm saying.
That I agree with.
It's reasonable.
May I see the site that's in question? Not, I think she said a different site.
So potentially your other site would be the church, the old, that's the one on that Main Street and Red Oak Road, the old gym. What's it called?
Grace Covenant.
Good Grace Covenant from Fuego. Grace Covenant.
Okay, I know that.
So right now, under our rules, no signs are allowed. Technically, no signs are allowed under our rules. In the green. So we're trying to
Correct.
add,
Trying to add the green.
trying to add the
We're
green
trying
that
to
they
add the
actually get
yellow.
the sign.
Trying to add the yellow
And we want to add the yellow now.
and then clarify the period that signs can be up. That's what we're trying to do. So the area doesn't sound like that's a problem. It's just making sure we clarify when the signs can be up and get that language right.
Right.
Can I ask that you
Or this.
table this till the end of the meeting? I'll go out in the hall and talk to her and see if I can come up with the correct language that I'm satisfied with and we'll bring it back along with this. Is that all
Sounds
right?
great to me.
So we just move on.
Move on.
Okay.
And we'll just tell them with consent of the council that you're gonna move this agenda item to the end of the meeting and I'm gonna try to get these issues
Okay.
resolved with the election.
Can you have some private chambers?
So,
Yeah, I'll take them in back and give them a Chick-fil-A.
Let's make sure you get them up.
okay. All right. Y'all heard what we're doing, right?
Okay, there we go.
Okay, so Ms. Onion and our attorney are gonna go try to get the wordage correctly, and we're gonna vote on that item at the end of the meeting. Okay, so we're skipping it for right now. Sure. No. Yeah, and I'm not smart enough to know when a public hearing is supposed to be, but so I can't really answer that, but I think since that's an ordinance.
It appears with all the stuff that a public hearing might have used all of this.
Yeah, well,
We have had a public hearing, right?
not
I
on
mean,
this.
not legally, but we've had a lot of. Yeah, well, we're taking all the information.
Okay. Item 8, consider adoption of resolution number 24-004R, the city council of the city of Red Oak, Texas, amending the master fee schedule and amending chapter 3.00 parks, libraries, and other public places by repealing section 3.001 library fines and fees in its entirety and replacing it with a new section 3.001 library fines and fees to remove fines for overdue books, audio cassettes, and magazines, and changing the fine fee, providing for a waiver clause, providing a repealing clause, providing a severability clause, and providing an effective date. It's good.
So this adjustment to the schedule would allow us to no longer collect late fees for when a book is turned in after the due date. We still collect fees if the book was damaged or never returned, but this is simply waiving that 10 cents a day per item late fee that has been in place.
Does this change the period of never returned, or is it the same period? Okay.
So if the book is never returned, we still charge that fee because it was never returned. We also charge a fee if the material was damaged.
But there's a period when you consider it not returned, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
After 30 days. After the-
Right. That, we're not changing that, just the fee, the incremental fees up to that point.
What's the purpose of not charging fees for overdue books?
Yes, so we're trying to be more socially equitable to everybody, especially with bridging the digital divide. You know, a lot of people use the online devices now where you can check on books and audiobooks on your device. And it doesn't charge fees because as soon as that due date hits, it just takes that material back. So by kind of waiving this fee, no longer collecting it, it's helping bridge that digital divide. It's relieving the financial burden from our patrons, and you know, we don't feel like it's necessary.
You think it'll increase of people coming into the library?
Some of the stats that we have shown, it's about half and half of private libraries that have started going to the blank fee policy. And the stats have shown people are more likely to return the items if they are not being charged the late fee because they're not worried about being penalized.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate it.
How do you, tend to, slow down repeat offenders with removing the fine?
Shock them.
Well, I'm not sure that I understand. Could you clarify?
Yeah, but what's going to stop someone from continuing to abuse this process if it's fine free?
So having it's by removing the fines, is it removing responsibility? It's having those conversations with them, it's charging them. After 30 days past the due date, it changes the material in our system to show that it's now lost after 30 days. It still shows checked out to that person, but it changes kind of the code in the system. Instead of being checked out, it changes it to lost. So when that item's returned, we see it when we check it in versus it just being in and out, shows lost material has now been returned. So it shows those repeat offenders. We can make those marks in the accounts, have those conversations with repeat offenders and say, hey, this is the third time that you turn this book in and you keep returning it, 60 days past the due date. Even though we're not collecting fines, you should be courteous of these due dates and stuff in place. So it's more of a verbal conversation and respect to our citizens.
Okay. I'll entertain a motion to approve, to adopt resolution 24-004R.
Second.
Councilman Goodwin. Councilman Lightfoot, those in favor?
Good one. Lightfoot, aye.
Smith, aye.
That passes 4-0. Item 9 is conduct a public hearing and consider approval of ordinance number 24-003. The City Council, City of Red Oak, Texas, providing for voluntary annexation of a territory generally described as being 291.908 acres, more or less, out of the R-Pro survey abstract number 199, W.M. Winifred survey abstract number 1145, and the P. Smith survey abstract 1365 in the city of Red Oak, ETJ, Ellis County, Texas, as described in Exhibit A, which is attached here to and incorporated herein for all purposes to the city of Red Oak, Texas, and extending the boundaries of the boundary limits of the city as to include said property within the city limits, granting all inhabitants and owners of said property all the rights and privileges of other citizens, and binding all inhabitants by all the ordinance, acts, resolutions, and regulations of said city, providing a service plan which is attached hereto and incorporated herein by reference, providing a severability clause, and providing an effective date. Dr. Emma. So my understanding is we're going to open the public hearing, but we're not taking any action, correct?
Well,
We're extending it.
yeah, we would continue it till the next regular meeting, and I believe that is February 12th. The property owner has requested that we postpone that until the following meetings. We would open the public hearing and then continue it until that one day.
Okay. So do you want Dr. Emma to give us this background?
So it's basically the property you see here. There is one little corner, Emma, if you can point to that, that is outside the city limits, and that's actually the piece that needs to be annexed. The way they've done it shows 291 acres because they're showing the entire property instead of just trying to put that one little parcel. So they're gonna re-annex a big portion of it and annex for the first time, the small portion of it.
Okay. So we will open this public hearing. And the time is 8:23. Was there anyone who wishes to? I'm sorry, Smith. So I was just getting feedback. Is it too much feedback for y'all? Do I need to turn this one off? Is that better?
He was hearing the echo. I could hear it a little bit too. But
Okay.
I think it's just you. So if you can deal with it, you're good.
Okay. Lightfoot and Smith, can I take a vote to extend this to the February 12th meeting?
Lightfoot, aye.
Smith, aye.
That's 4-0 to extend it to the February 12th. Item 10, conduct a public hearing and consider approval of ordinance number 24-004, the City Council, City of Red Oak, Texas. Providing for voluntary annexation of territory generally described as being 8.9473 acres, more or less, out of the McKinney and Williams Survey Abstract 751 and the B.E. Fraser Survey Abstract 371 in the City of Red Oak, ETJ, Ellis County, Texas, as described in Exhibit A, which is attached hereto and incorporated herein for all purposes to the City of Red Oak, Texas, by extending the boundary limits of the city as to include said property within the city limits and granting to all inhabitants and owners of the said property all the rights and privileges of other citizens and binding all inhabitants by all the ordinances, acts, resolutions, and regulations of the said city, providing for a service plan which is attached hereto, incorporated herein by reference, providing a severability clause, providing an effective date. Dr. Emma.
And these are two properties. One, I believe this first one is owned by CNC Fox Hollow, which is Hargrove Development. And then the other one next door to them, I believe, is owned by Brett Hess and some partners. So there is a proposed development that we've been dealing with at staff level that will be coming forward. But this property is outside the city limits as of today. So we would need to bring that into the city limits, and then when that comes forward, we'd be able to zone that and provide sewer for the property. Staff recommends approval on both of these.
So can I read this other one and do the public hearing?
Sure.
Both of them separate or together?
Yep.
Okay. Conduct a public hearing and consider approval of ordinance number 24-005, the City Council, City of Red Oak, Texas, providing for a voluntary annexation of the territory generally described as being 19.803 acres, more or less, out of the B.E. Fraser Survey Abstract number 371 and the McKinney and Williams Survey Abstract 751 in the City of Red Oak, ETJ, Ellis County, Texas, as described in Exhibit A, which is attached hereto and incorporated herein for all purposes to the City of Red Oak, Texas, and extending the boundaries of the city limits so as to include said property within the city limits and granting all inhabitants and owners of said property all the rights and privileges of other citizens and binding all inhabitants by all the ordinance, acts, resolution, regulations of said city, providing for a service plan which is attached hereto and incorporated herein by reference, providing a severability clause and providing an effective date. So so we're taking both of these as public hearing and the time is 8:28. And these two pieces of property are directly across from Amaya's off of 342, just south of Ovilla Road. And the pond that's back there in the back, which has great fishing in there. So both of those two properties, that public hearing's opened. Is there anybody here to wish to speak on those two items? Okay. Entertain a motion at 8:29 to close the public hearing.
So moved. Second.
Goodwin. Lightfoot. Those in favor?
Edward, I. Lightfoot, I. Smith, I.
That's 4-0. Council, is there any questions?
Nope.
Okay. Entertain a motion to approve ordinance number 24-004 and 24-005.
So moved.
Councilman Lightfoot, Councilman Franklin. Those in favor?
Edward, I. Lightfoot, I. Smith, I.
That's 4-0. Okay, item 12 is that the continuation of the last one that we did? So we're still in the continuation from last month.
Yeah, this has been continued from last month, I believe. Emma, didn't you say that they requested to pull it?
Owner is asking that we not consider this when he's ready to come.
Okay. Okay, so we're just continuing this open?
No, we're taking no action.
Okay,
So close the public hearing and take no action. Is that the sequence?
okay.
Okay.
All right, so the time is 8:30 and I'll entertain the motion to close this public hearing.
So moved.
That's Councilman Lightfoot,
Second.
Councilman Franklin. Those in favor?
Edward, I. Lightfoot, I. Smith, I.
That's 4 and no action to be taken. Okay. Item 13 is continue the public hearing on this one, and this one also has been asked to close this public hearing?
No, this one would be to continue.
Okay, so this one, we're continuing the public hearing. Consider approval of ordinance number 23-063, the City Council of City of Red Oak, Texas, amending the comprehensive zoning ordinance and map of the City of Red Oak, Texas, as hereto amended by granting a change in zoning from Commercial District C1 to Plan Development 163, PD 163, to allow for reduced landscaping and parking requirements on a site described as Lot 2B, Block A of the Red Oak Business Park Number 1 and addressed as 305 South State Highway 342, City of Red Oak, Ellis County, Texas, requested by ZC 23-32, requested by John Bush. So we're continuing this public hearing. Is there anyone here that wants to speak on this public hearing?
We just continuing it to next month?
Yes.
So entertain a motion to continue us to next month. That was Smith and Goodwin.
Out of order, but we got it. Yeah.
Well, Goodwin, Smith. Delayed. Those in favor of continuing to February, well,
It's close.
Franklin, I.
Lightfoot, I. Smith, I.
that's 4-0. Item 14, conduct a public hearing and consider approval of ordinance number 24-006, City Council, City of Red Oak, Texas, amending the comprehensive zoning ordinance and map of the City of Red Oak, Texas, as heretofore amended by granting a change in zoning from Plan Development 18 revised PD 18R to Plan Development 18 revised to PD 18R2 to amend the use to permit a daycare use and amend the development regulations to allow for an accessory structure on the site described as Lot 1, Block 1 of the Oaks Fellowship Edition located at 777 South Interstate 35, I-35 East, City of Red Oak, Ellis County, Texas, as provided in Exhibit A and attached hereto and incorporated herein, providing site plan, landscaping plan, elevation plan, plan development regulations, Exhibit B through E respectively, which are attached hereto and incorporated herein, providing a repealing clause, providing a severability clause, providing a savings clause, providing a penalty of fine not to exceed the sum of $2,000 for each offense, and providing an effective date, ZC 23-47, requested by the Oaks Church. Dr. Emma.
The applicant requesting to add a basketball court, 3 football courts, volleyball court, small playground, and a pavilion and with restrooms. And it's going to be located east of the church in this general area. And the reason that this is coming before you is because this property isn't TV. So when there's a significant change in the layout, it's put by the zoning commission, city council for review and approval. They're also requesting to add a commercial daycare on site, so it will be open to the public, and it will be located in this building, and they will have a drop-off and pick-up locations. And staff did do a parking calculation, and even though with the commercial daycare being added and with the school and with the church, they're still going to have on site. And they did provide landscaping and site. Oh, they did provide landscape and site plan. They will also be providing sidewalks and landscaping on site. And they're also providing lighting and uplighting the trees for the areas. And we'll be open to the public.
So, so that's the sand volleyball, or is that an indoor volleyball? What is that? Okay, so that's sand. Okay. All right, this is, I'm sorry, were you done?
Oh, yes, I was.
Okay. So this is a public hearing. We'll open the public hearing at 8:36. Was there anyone here that wishes to speak on this?
Yeah, have somebody speak on any photo. I know. I think this would be a good, great asset to our community. I'm in favor.
You got that, Ms. Karen? Okay. Entertain a motion at 8:37 to close this public hearing. Councilman Franklin. Councilman Goodwin. Those in favor?
Too late to vote.
That's 4-0. Okay, council, is there any questions that you have for this ordinance? Approval of this ordinance 24-006?
Yes, Mayor, question.
Sure.
Dr. Emma, can you confirm these amenities are open to the public?
Correct.
Basketball court, pickleball, all the amenities, between what hours?
The hours of operation for the facility.
Okay.
Yeah, I think they were mirroring what our city park hours.
And that's what I was gonna get around to. Okay, thank you.
But will they only be like after school? I know that's a school and church. So it should be kids in school, but they come up there at 11 o'clock to play ball.
If they mirror the park hours, it would
They
be
need
open
new,
during the day.
It would
they
have to be
do,
open, right?
they do, they need
You
new
can't say,
parents.
hey, it's for school use today.
It's
Right.
not for school. Yeah, it's not for school.
I mean, it's
So-
on the school property. The schools are out there. I just don't want.
So
If,
While school is taking place, can other people come out there
Yes.
and use the basketball
All right,
court? The
that's-
answer is yes.
all right.
So about 2.5 years ago, church, administration approached us and asked, is that about right? 2.5 years ago? Approached the city, to find out what they could do to be a partner because were interested in doing things like this. And so we gave them some ideas, but no restrictions on what. And so this is what they'd come back with. So this has been in the works for a while, but they were reaching out as a good partner, to try to figure out what other amenities we'd like to see in the city.
Yeah, I just
So-
don't want somebody going up there playing ball at 11 o'clock and they come out and go, you can't be here. We got school events going on. We got this, we got teachers need to use it or something. That's what,
The Oaks has been a fabulous,
Yeah.
partner in this community for many, many years. And, I really appreciate what you're doing here.
I mean, this was prime firework watching area, so we'll have to see if we can still access it for the fireworks, but it's gonna be great.
I think they have a lot of other land
I
too, so that
know.
we could kind of do. Okay, entertain a motion to approve this ordinance.
So moved.
Okay, so that is good when you did one first, and Franklin, you're second.
We got through.
Those in favor?
Good one.
Light, but I.
Smith,
All right, that passes 4-0.
Public hearings, the last two ones of mine. Great.
Item 15, conduct a public hearing and consider approval of ordinance number 24-007. City Council, City of Red Oak, Texas, amending the comprehensive zoning ordinance and map of the city of Red Oak, Texas, as heretofore amended by granting a change in zoning from commercial 1 C1 to planned development 167 PD 167 to allow for commercial use and development regulations on real property described as Lot 2R Block E of the Red Oak Estate located on 273 East Ovilla Road, City of Red Oak, Ellis County, Texas, as depicted in Exhibit A, which is attached hereto and incorporated herein, providing plan development, regulation, and landscape plan, which are attached hereto and incorporated herein as Exhibits B and C respectively, providing a repealing clause, providing a severability clause, and providing a savings clause, providing a penalty of fine not to exceed the sum of $2,000 for each offense, and providing an effective date. And this is requested by James P. Moon, and this is ZC 23-46, Dr. Emma.
Mayor, Council, the applicant requested for a punishment site to Texas Department of Agriculture, right at the table along with property's frontage. So to get the property landscape, but the right of way further submit. So first as close as possible. The applicant plans to trees, residential trees and shrubs along the property's frontage on a villa and in the city's right of way along Newburgh Lane. The city and the applicant will engage in a license use agreement so that the applicant will be able to install landscaping and maintain it in the city's right of way. And due to the Texas Department of Transportation right of way taking, there were about 13 spaces that were taken from the site. But with the new uses limited to restaurant and office spaces, still be technically only short one parking space. So this PD will allow the site to operate as is shown on the landscape plan. The planning and zoning commission did.
So this is a public hearing, and this is 8:42. We'll open it, and this is a Cancun strip for y'all to know. Was there anybody here that we should speak on this? And all the commissioners approved this? Okay. All right, how about 8:43? I'll entertain a motion to close this public hearing. That's Lightfoot and Smith. Those in favor?
Light, but I.
Smith,
That passes 4-0. Council, is there any other questions that you need with this?
Just a Sorry, just to clarify, so they were short on landscaping, they were fine with that for whatever reason, and now they're even more short because of the text dot expansion there. And all of this is just basically coming up with a plan that gives as much landscaping as possible. Okay.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay. Entertain motion to approve 24-007.
So moved. Second.
That is Lightfoot and Smith. Those in favor?
Lightfoot, I. Smith.
That passes 4-0. Item 16. And different one, right? Okay. Yeah. So item 16, conduct a public hearing and consider approval of ordinance number 24-008, the City Council, City of Red Oak, Texas, amending the comprehensive zoning ordinance and map of the City of Red Oak, Texas, as heretofore amended by granting a change in zoning from single-family ranchette RAE to Planned Development 168, PD 168, to allow for residential use on the site located 420 North Lawrence Road, City of Red Oak, Ellis County, Texas, and more particularly described in Exhibit A, which is attached here to and incorporated herein, providing the site plan, an elevation plan, a floor plan, and planned development regulation as Exhibit B through E respectively, which are attached here to and incorporated herein, providing a repealing clause, providing a severability clause, providing a savings clause, providing a penalty of fine not to exceed the sum of $2,000 for each offense, and providing an effective date, ZC 23-48, requested by Adrian. Okay, and Vanessa Salazar. I can get that one. I apologize. So Dr. Emma.
This one, the applicant submitted a new site plan this morning, so change the information, so it has to go back to the planning zone.
So no public hearing at all then for this one, correct?
Right. Well, you need to make a motion. Do you anticipate bringing it back? Or are you gonna renotice it? Do you have to renotice it since it's, then I wouldn't worry about it. Just move on.
Oh, okay. Thanks for,
No action.
all right. Thanks for letting me use my lungs.
No problem.
So is this the same? This is not gonna be the same thing for this next one, is it?
So it will be a continuation.
So this one we do have to read.
Making sure.
Okay.
Double check.
All right.
You can do the abbreviated reading if you.
Okay.
You want me to do?
Yes, thanks, legal.
All right, consider adoption of, oop, I'm on the wrong agenda. Let me get the right.
Number 17.
To conduct a public hearing and consider approval of ordinance 24-009 of the City Council of the City of Red Oak, Texas, amending Comprehensive Zoning Act and map thereof is heretofore amended by granting a change in zoning from PD 28 revised R to Plan Development 28 revised 2 PD 2 R2 for the development of a senior multifamily complex as posted on the agenda.
So that's the brief, and now we're gonna open the public hearing.
Yes, sir.
Do you want to speak? Nope.
I think she's requesting that this item be tabled to our regular meeting in February.
Okay, so,
So moved.
but we need to open the public hearing. No.
Yes.
Yes, okay,
Okay.
okay. Open the public hearing at 8:47. Is there anyone here? And you're asking for us to move it to the February 12th thing? Okay,
So in lieu of taking any comments tonight, Mayor, the planning department has requested we postpone this item to our regularly scheduled meeting on February the 12th, 2024.
okay. All right, that sounds good. Now we have to vote on that, right?
Someone needs to say so
Also
moved.
moved.
Yeah, yes, thank you. Like Mr. Lightfoot
Good at that.
and Mr. Smith. Those in favor?
Lightfoot, I. Smith, on.
All right, and that's 4-0. All right,
Ready to go back
can we
to
go
number
back to our,
I'm ready. Let's go back to number 7.
okay, item 7. It's,
It's not turned, it wasn't turned on, sorry. Is this one working? This one's working. Mr. Benford, which one am I supposed to use? This one?
Okay. There we go.
All right, yes. After consultation with the Ellis County election official, we have come up with a language we think is appropriate. To, first of all, the new map will have the designated election sign area as depicted on what is being displayed. So that'll be the new exhibit, which will be figure 3.04002 with the added area. We've changed the voting period to be as follows. As provided in this section, voting period shall mean each day, beginning on the first day of the early voting time and ending on the last day of the voting period for any election, including early voting, voting day, and any runoff periods for a federal, state, county, municipal election for candidates or propositions of any kind under the Texas Constitution or the Texas Election Code. And she was, I think, good with that. And then that way, as there's changes in the election code for election periods for different elections, we're covered and we don't have to come back, try to put another Band-Aid on that.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Jana, for that assistance. And yes, and we also did a tweak on A, which we'll now read, it's an offense for any person to leave an electioneering sign or literature on any public property that is used at a polling place other than during the voting period as defined herein. So that takes care of that. They need to remove their stuff at the end after the election, which would include a runoff by definition. And then I further clarified in B, it shall now read as an offense for any person to engage in electioneering on driveways, parking areas, or medians within the parking areas or driveways on the premise of a polling place which impede vehicular or pedestrian traffic, which is the whole intent of the law. That's also in the state law. You can't block people getting in and out of the polling place and denied access to the polling area.
That makes sense.
So I would ask you to consider 24002 with the changes in the figure and the changes that I read into the record. And Jana, you're okay with that, right?
Yes, and you did confirm that you guys, the board, the council is still okay with, canopies being up in the parking lot and stuff, because that would be electioneering in the parking lot.
Yeah, as long as they're not blocking the traffic or impeding the front door.
Yep.
Yep, yes, sir.
yes, I do. Councilman Goodwin, Councilman Smith. Those in favor?
Lightfoot, aye. Smith, aye.
That passes 4-0. Thanks for y'all hanging around. Chief, thank you for all y'all's help and staying around.
Yeah.
Chief Blanton. Oh, yep.
Oh, yeah.
Mayor and council, good evening. I just wanted to highlight, we did, Allegiance took over January 1st at 7 o'clock in the morning. That was a smooth transition. Myself, Chief Young, were up early that morning to make sure everything ran smooth. We didn't have any hiccups or any unanswered emergency medical calls of any sort. They're in week 1 or just over a week into it, and everything's been running smoothly. We had a meeting today with them to go over, just a few things here and there, but everything is running smooth and as we had planned. So
Is there any crossover operations between the two? Or like it's a complete cutover?
yes, it's a complete cutover at 7 o'clock on January 1st. AMR stopped responding to emergencies. Obviously, if there was a call that came in, we already had that aligned. Excuse me. If a call came in, at 6:59 or 7 o'clock, AMR was going to take it and
Planned crossover period though.
no, sir. That is correct. And they're fully staffed. And again, we've got 12 ambulances within the county. And like I said, so far, everything's been running as planned. And I don't have anything else unless y'all have any questions about the monthly report. Thank you.
Mayor, council, unfortunately, I was unable to bring our officers to you tonight. They all had previous engagements for Rookie of the Year, Officer of the Year, and Supervisor of the Year. I hope to be able to bring those to you next month and be able to present them. But those officers were Officer Danielle Acosta was Rookie of the Year, Detective Jalen Merrick was Officer of the Year, and Lieutenant Jason Escobar was Supervisor of the Year. All of them contribute greatly to the organization and our success. For this month, we averaged right at 3,966 primary calls for service. So we're averaging almost 4,000 calls per month. We're preparing our annual report now to be able to bring that to the council, hopefully at the next council meeting, if not that, then March. Being able to show you all the activity that we had over this last year. And I'll be happy to answer any other questions council may have.
Mr. Mayor, if I may, I just want to acknowledge Chief Wolf and Lieutenant Meeks.
Yes, sir.
They came out to my HOA's quarterly meeting and spoke to the community about one, what they do, how they do it, what are ways we can help prevent crime. Lieutenant Meeks took the time and educated the community, and I don't know who's more excited, them or Chief, but it was very good feedback, and I want to acknowledge that that was a great presentation by Chief and his staff, and it was not kind of bridge the gap so the public is informed on what they do for the best way.
Well, we were able to provide that particular HOA with specific crime statistics for their neighborhood. I think there were some that maybe thought it was a little worse than what it actually was, and we were able to give them real numbers and maybe alleviate some of their concerns. So we're very appreciative of being requested to come speak, and we do that for a lot of the HOAs that request us. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Great.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. A couple things from this month's report. We have finished filming for the State of the City, so thank you to those of you that participated in that this year. We are editing that right now, and we'll be showing it at the January Chamber Luncheon on January 24th. So if any of you would like to attend that, obviously, Mayor, you will be there already. But if anybody else would like to attend, please let me know. We will get you registered. And then also, we have started construction on the LED monument out front of the building at Red Oak Road and Live Oak. Electric and the concrete base is complete, and we are currently working on the stonework. So we're waiting for the LED board to be finalized, as well as some other stuff before we get that installed. Anticipating the end of Q1 for that to be up and operational.
Sounds good.
Thank you. I will take any questions anybody might have. Thank you.
Thanks. Good to see you guys again too. I just wanted to highlight some of our kind of year-end numbers. We do a lot of fiscal year stuff that doesn't align with our calendar year, but so for our calendar year of 2023, on the permitting side of things, we did 239 new home permits. That's a little bit over 72 million in taxable structures that were put on the ground. On a commercial side of things, we only did 13, but they were big ones. And so it put over just under $200 million worth of taxable value on the ground in the city. So big year for us and busy times. And hopefully, this all starts leading to us being able to provide more services and more quality of life for these citizens. So thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Mayor and Council, this plat is out 6, so quick update on the finance activities. That time of year where they go into audit season, so they're doing their audit work right now with our external auditor. So council can expect, and select staff members can expect to receive the audit letters here shortly. So please get those back into the auditors quickly as possible. Process, and then, in a few months, we'll be back with the final.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I just have a quick update on recruitment. In December, we added and filled 2 positions, and we currently only have 1 job posted, so I've narrowed down that pool. Also want to provide an annual turnover rate for 2023. That rate was 6.6%, which is a 5.9% decrease from last year. So we went from 12.5 to 6.6. Yes, that's great. That's all that I have to highlight for my report. I'll be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Mayor, council, well, we're having some technical issues tonight, but we'll get it worked out. Really, the only thing I wanted to talk about is the email that I sent out this past week on the webmail. I think all of the council members use an iPad or an iPhone to get their mail. If you're still using that, this is not going to affect you at all. This is only if you actually go to a web browser from outside the network to get your mail. So if you have any questions with that, you can just give me a holler and we'll work it out. That's my main stuff, just trying to work on some new cybersecurity stuff for the city. So we've got some changes coming. Most of it will not affect you guys at all. So. All right.
I just wanted to take a minute to acknowledge some of our new programs that we've started implementing. We mentioned them in previous meetings about some of the upcoming programs, and it's been 2 or 3 weeks now of some of those new programs, and we've actually had some city members peeking their head in and through the window going, "Oh my gosh, you have so many people in your building." So we have a wonderful new STEAM program going on, ages 7 above, that focuses on science, technology, engineering, arts, and math. And so that's every Thursday now, and we've had a great attendance so far and expect to continue adding to that program over the time. We also had our first turnout for our Spanish program that introduces conversational Spanish, teaches a little bit, and allows people to start communicating in another language. So we had a great turnout for that. We're looking forward to expanding more of our programs over the next several months and increasing what we offer. And I'm happy to answer any questions you have for the library. Which one? The Spanish program is on select Mondays at 3 p.m. and you can see our calendar. We have paper copies at the library. It's also posted on our website and it's also posted on our social media accounts. I'm sorry?
How much is the new library increase?
So in the past, most of our programs were having an attendance of maybe 3 to 5 people, with the exception of story time. That's always been a popular hit. Now we're seeing north of 8 to 15, 20 numbers, depending on the program. So our STEAM program, the first turnout, we had 20 in attendance of the actual kids and about 45 people total in the building, including their parents and siblings that were, playing in the rest of the library during the program. With our first Spanish program, we had 12 in attendance. We are hoping that we can add that down the line as soon as we have somebody that's either willing to volunteer their time to help with that or have a staff member that is comfortable with that language. Right now, we just have a Spanish bilingual person that's running that program. We're always looking for volunteers if you know somebody. All right, let me know. Any other questions I can answer for you all? Thank you so much.
Howdy, Mayor, Council, good evening. Just go over a few events we had recently. Movies in the Park was back in the second week in December. We had about 137 people attend. Due to the weather, we moved the event inside into the community room. And we work with the library on these type of events. They help us with staffing and setup and breakdown and stuff like that. So we're a pretty good team. So I do appreciate the library and their team helping us with these events.
We had a special appearance by Santa Smith and Mrs. Claus. So we really appreciate the drop in. That was great. Kids loved it. Next week on Friday or Saturday, January the 20th, from 8 a.m. till 10 a.m. at the pond at Pearson Park, we have the annual Red Oak Catch a Trout. We have 2,600 trout going to be dropped into the pond a few days before. Takes them about 48 hours to acclimate, and then they bite. And I didn't pick this date, so the weather should be good this year. The Red Oak Touch a Truck will be coming on Saturday, February the 10th, which will be just before our next council meeting. So I wanted to bring that up. That'll be from 9 a.m. to 11 p.m. It's going to be here in the parking lot of the government center. We're going to try this, try a few new things. Right now, we do have confirmation from our local police and fire department and the helicopter, stuff like that. We've got some pretty neat things coming. This year, we're trying to expand, give the kids an opportunity to possibly see some things they don't normally get to see. Get up in there and touch some vehicles and trucks that are a little unique. And then to wrap up the my update, the restroom at Pearson Park is probably about 90% complete right now. So within the next 2 to 3 weeks, we should be able to have an opening on that restroom. It's a secret.
They don't tell us so we can't get out there early and catch all the crowd.
2 days before. We typically do it on Thursday, and it depends on the availability of Parks and Wildlife. Sometimes they'll bring it in on Wednesday because they're such a large load for us. We're actually good. Our last time we tested the water, we were around 12. So back during the summer, we were around 1.2, and we needed to be between 8.5 and 15. So we're right in the middle of that good range where we'd expect to be. And I'd like to think that those fountains that we have out there are helping do that as well. And then as we warm up the movement in that water, that should keep that oxygen level to where we never get below a 9. I think that's what the Parks and Wildlife had said, hey, around 9 is what they see in ponds like that with fountains. And then to wrap up, one more thing, speaking of the fountain, the pond, we will start the Monday after this event. We will be shutting down the fountains as they do work. It'll be about a 10 to 14 day project. They're going to be dredging that north end basically it sort of makes a triangle on the north end, going there, resetting the boundaries, taking out all the organic material out of the pond. And that way it gives an opportunity to resize, be the right size for the pond. That too will also help with the oxygen levels that we've had issues with. Particularly on that end, it's hard to get in there with any equipment like we do on the other parts where annually we go in and kind of clean the edges. We can't do it up there. So that has a tendency to get out of control and take a lot of oxygen out of the water during the summer. It's going to be on Monday the 22nd.
Gotta catch all your trout.
Yeah, everybody is you're all welcome to come to any of our events. You don't have to work. You just come and say hi and smile and just get to rub shoulders with everybody in the community. So it's a nice opportunity. Thank y'all. Have a good evening.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. Only thing I want to add to my report is just our appreciation for what council's provided for us. Its needs. I mean, we obviously use it to provide services for the citizens, but the first use of our sign making equipment and apparatus is what we'd like to present to council. So our first sign we'll leave it, to Todd and Jonathan figure out what they want to do with it, but, I'm gonna show it to you. And I'd like, kind of let Jared kind of just give you a brief overview of what we're doing with that, where it's at and what we're doing. So.
So I just want to thank you all again for the sign printer that, we got this year. It's going to be a game changer for us when it comes to getting signs put back up. We actually we were excited, our first street sign that got hit and down. We were like, oh, we get to use the new printer. So we went and printed up the signs, had them put on the blanks, and they were up the next day, which is really cool because it used to be about an 8-week process to get those signs put back up by the time we got them ordered. So we can use it to print, custom signs like this. And then, of course, all our regulatory warning signs. So when they do get hit, we can get them up and get everything back flowing the way it should be in a timely manner. It's actually at the back of Wing B. The ink doesn't smell great. So if you ever at the back of Wing B and you're like, what is that smell? Oh, we're making signs. But we really do appreciate what y'all have gotten for us, and we're going to put it to good use. So thank y'all.
Yep.
You're talking
You
to
can,
the.
you can make us do whatever you want, sir. That's right. That's right.
Thank you
So,
very much.
Yep.
Okay, the time is 9:09, and we will go into executive session pursuant to Texas Government Code Section 551.071, 551.087. Expect to take any actions when we come back out, but and it shouldn't take all that long.
No, it should not.
And we shouldn't be all that long. in there?
I felt it drop in, I stopped.
Are they in there? Yeah.
Check, check.
I can only assume. We don't actually have to vote to adjourn. It's rules, it's Robert's Rules of Order is what we were under, but we established that many years ago, but everyone just likes to vote on it.
All right, the
Hey,
time is 10:19. Are we good? The time is 10:19 and we will reconvene back into open session. And we have no action that needs to be taken. So let's go home, right? You need a motion?
Motion to adjourn, sir.
All right.
Second.
All in favor? Goodwin, aye.
Life and I.
Smith,
We go. Let's go home. Thank you all very much.